The break has now elapsed. Please, everyone, take your seat.
Please, everybody, take your seats.
Please take your seats. As I stated before, we are now going to listen to some speeches from the fellow members of the Secretariat. I have been deeply honored to have the chance to work with them. Our amazing teamwork, respect for each other, but especially the unconditional love for RIMUN that we share, made all of this conference possible. Everyone, please welcome Jacopo Sirianni, the President of the General Assembly.
Thank you, Francesca. So, most distinguished guests, most esteemed MUN directors and teachers, beloved headmistress, honorable chairs, dear delegates and ambassadors, hardworking staff, and fellow members of the Secretariat. Good afternoon and welcome once again to the 16th edition of the Rome International Model of the United Nations. I'm Jacopo Sirianni and I will be the President of the General Assembly for this year's session. I sincerely want to thank all the members of the City Hall for their presence at this ceremony and for hosting us in Aula Giulio Cesare, in view of a prosperous time at the conference. We're all here united, bounded by shared values and common goals, even in our profound diversities. Now more than ever, the international community is called to face global calamities and severe issues that are threatening human lives on Earth, putting several states and governments on their knees and endangering the rights of people all around the globe. For this year's edition, delegates are asked to focus their effort on the question of the energy sector, the fuel of our progress and lifeblood of our existence. Energy represents a primary need for all of us, but there is still also a significant gap regarding the accessibility to energetic sources. Nowadays, more than 700 million people live without electricity, and 2.6 billion people still rely on inefficient and polluting cooking stoves and fuels. These numbers are clearly warning us about a serious humanitarian crisis defined by a real deficiency of access to clean energy, which still represent a huge failure in the field of human rights and sustainability as well. Universal access to energy will play a significant role in the debate, as it is an essential prerequisite both to improve and preserve the living and working conditions of all people. The accomplishment of such objectives are in the interest of everybody, and MUN suit perfectly has present occasion to discuss them. We have to take full advantage that the fact that we are finally all here present physically, after years of division and distance. We all should not forget the unusual historical circumstances we have been living since 2020 and their impact on our world. The COVID pandemic has choked economies, altered lifestyles, and jeopardized equilibrium between and within nations. The worldwide disruption has significantly impacted the energy sector as well, with worrying implications for clean energy transition, undermining the growth of renewables. The urge for effective measures is evident, as well as combined interventions will be necessary for the advancement of our goals in finance, business, and social humanitarian domains as well. All these efforts will be also functional in providing an optimistic outlook for a near future where shifts in energy supply and demand continuously evolve. United, we stand. Divided, we fall. The urgency of nowadays challenges is requesting unity and collaboration during this unusual era in ever-changing international balance. The priority of our work aims at diplomatic and peaceful solution. We should also not forget that the interventions and closeness of member states has to be included during unforeseen and unpredictable events, such as the recent dramatic earthquakes which have taken place in Syria and Turkey, for which the entire RIMUN community expresses its sincere solidarity. The missions are clear, and I'm expecting high professionalism effort, and respectful attitude from all delegates to all commission. I sincerely hope for all of you a wonderful time at the conference and want to deliver a last final recommendation. Enlighten your spirit, roll up your sleeves, and build the future you want to live. Thank you for the attention. Thank you. I'm now yielding the floor to the man that has truly made all of this possible, the person I've had the honor to work with, the untiring leader that has guided all of us during this wonderful experience, the fierce friend that always standed next to me. Please give a huge round of applause for the Secretary General of the 16th edition of RIMUN, Federico Corallo.
Okay, thank you. Most distinguished guests, admirable eminent directors and teachers, beloved mistress, most esteemed secretariat, honorable chairs, delegates, ambassadors, and lovely staff. First of all, I would like to thank you for being here. Having the possibility to represent RIMUN is an honor and a privilege. It's wonderful to see you here once again. We are here to set a new standard, a new RIMUN era, newer traditions, newer dynamics, a new clear informative approach to debate and education as well. Energy, the fuel of progress. This year's theme is more than just one single theme. It encompasses a whole set of interconnected sub-themes. As Mrs. Fertoni always says, and she's not here, fortunately, we are not living in the same world we were living before. The post-pandemic society changed our perspective forever. We grew up in a context where the great development of the energy industry gave us the illusion and the dream to eternally power every aspect of our lives. And that did happen, actually, for a moment in history. In fact, if you look at the world from a historical point of view, breakthroughs in the energy and power supply sector have been, in fact, the fuel of our progress. From the first energy of the heat of the first man-made fire to coal and steam, to the cutting-edge nuclear and renewable technologies. However, history has taught us also that human beings were not made to look forward to the future. The economic and sanitary crisis has set the reality of things in front of our eyes. The long-held dream has been shattered. Okay. The electricity, heat, and transport sectors are right now responsible for more than 70% of global CO2 emissions, making the energy transition a structural obstacle towards tackling of climate change and the reaching of NZE scenarios. Moreover, social unrest, severe political upheavals, and armed conflicts around the world, such as the Russo-Ukrainian one, are threatening the international community and the preservation of its balance, which is the only way to solve our problems, actually. Oops. This is an age in which new sovereignty limitations are ordinary and are constantly manipulating the reality of facts. We are at higher risk than ever of encountering and sharing disinformation. Cooperation, debate, cultural exchange are the keys for that. A new, clear, democratic debate around energy transition needs to be entertained. Support must be given to developing countries so they can make use of clean energy technology, phase out coal, redirect fossil fuel subsidies, and avoid carbon lock-in. Soothing political tensions in order to ensure durable diplomatic relations, jointly decarbonizing the aggregate electricity supply, together with the electrification of heating and transportation means, will be the primary challenge for this year's session. Let this reason be our power supply for RIMUN 16. Thank you.
Thank you to the Secretary General. We're now proceeding with the ambassador's speech. So please, when you're called, open up your mic and push the button and raise. We're starting with the ambassador of Afghanistan.
Okay. esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Secretary General, PGA, Honorable Chairs, dear guests, Moon Director and lovely staff, and fellow delegates. The topic of this year's RIMUN is essential in our everyday life. We're talking about energy. We use energy for basically every single little task of our routine. Unfortunately, in this historical period, there is a great shortage of energy, which also is not affordable for many countries, as it costs even more due to COVID-19 or the devastating war in Ukraine. In fact, the common consequence is that there is a major disruption of energy supplies in regions or countries that were affected by combat or subjected to prolonged bombing, and we should condemn all of this. The energy sector has also a huge impact on climate change because it's the largest emitter of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. We don't give enough importance to this topic, but could you imagine a world without energy? Well, in Afghanistan, our amazing country, even called the Heart of Asia, we can. In fact, just 10 or 15% of the population has access to it. We own one of the smallest energy reserves in the world. The Afghan people suffer a lot because of it, and for us, the health of our citizens is the priority, and that's why we should make a difference. We would like to invite all member states to collaborate for a better management of this disastrous sector, to make it more affordable and accessible to everyone, but even eco-friendly. We need to preserve everyone's future and give the best example to the newest generation. Our new government would happily like to improve our country and the world. So with a global intervention and with the great help of our God, Allah, we send the best wishes for all member states which are present this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Argentina.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff of Rome International MUN 2023. As the Ambassador of Argentina, I can say that we're delighted to be taking part in such a prestigious conference under the title of Empowering Proper Management of Energetic Resources. The main problems branching from this title are access to electricity and sustainable energy. If we don't take action now, we will be facing serious consequences in the upcoming years. Argentina has taken steps by creating sustainable energy projects in light of SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. However, as it's mentioned in the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development, development today must not threaten the needs of present and future generations. So we aim to build our actions on this principle. We wish to find efficient solutions to our problems and have fruitful debates. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Australia.
Honorable Secretary General, PGA and MUN Directors, dear chairs, distinguished delegates, hardworking ed staff, and ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to address you today as the Ambassador of Australia at the RIMUN conference. As we gather here today, I cannot help but feel an overwhelming sense of pride and enthusiasm for the future of international diplomacy and cooperation. Australia is a unique and diverse country with a rich cultural heritage, a thriving economy, and a commitment to social justice and human rights. We are a proud member of the United Nations, and we believe strongly in the power of multilateralism to promote peace, security, and prosperity around the world. At RIMUN, we have a unique opportunity to work together towards a common goal, to seek solutions to complex challenges facing our world today and to build bridges of understanding and cooperation between nations. Australia is committed to being an active and constructive participant in these efforts. Australia wishes to keep in mind the goals and that the UN was created for such as teamwork, cooperation, and compromise to find reasonable and suitable solutions. We wish wonderful debates at RIMUN. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're proceeding with the Ambassador of China.
Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. We are gathered here today to find effective solutions to global issues under one theme, this being energy, the fuel of progress. To quote the leader of the PRC, if humanity does not fail nature, nature will not fail us. We must ensure the usage of clean, reliable energy all over the globe if humanity wants to progress and ultimately survive. Climate change is arguably the biggest threat facing our world today. The electricity, heat, and transport sector alone cause 73.2% of the global CO2 emissions. As the People's Republic of China, we are doing our part of planning for the future. In June of 2022, we released our 14th five-year plan where we underlined our aim of obtaining 50% of our incremental energy needs from renewable sources. We hope to reach carbon neutrality by the year 2060. We would also like to emphasize our contribution in the technology sector, considering the fact that we have the world's largest electric vehicle and solar panel manufacturing industry. However, we are aware that the road to clean energy is also related to a nation's economy. In light of the pandemic, as well as the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, many nations' economy took a hit, delaying their journey to renewable energy and decreasing their energy accessibility. That is why, as the PRC, we believe that political disputes should be separate from economy. Therefore, we suggest that nations reconsider the sanctions they have placed on the Russian Federation, since they are harming nations who have no relation to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict more than the direct participants. We are looking forward to debating more about these issues throughout this conference, and we thank you all so much for your attention.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Denmark.
Estimable Secretariat, Honorable Chair, dear special guests, fellow delegates and lovely staff. Today's topic is energy, intended as the power of progress. We know how much reliant we are on technology and energy, and it's our duty to maintain affordable to everyone and sustainable for the environment. To show how much the concept of energy is important, we must quote Wolfgang van Goethe: "Energy will do anything that can be done in the world, and no talents, no circumstances, no opportunities will make a two-legged animal a man without it." So this means that energy is as important as blood pumping in our veins. And nowadays' mission is to recreate a human body in a nation where there will flow only green energy that is sustainable for houses, public infrastructures, and is sustainable for the environment. In fact, Denmark has now proposed the biggest construction project that Denmark has presented in its history. It is the Energy Island project that will overlook by the sea. And it is a project that not only it will benefit our country, but even the ones nearby. In fact, it is a project recording the energy consumes and the energy production of offshore wind farms, and it will require about 12 gigawatts of energy that will be providing energy for 10 million households. Furthermore, we want to underline the importance of finding a renewable energy source for every nation, and we want to underline cooperation to achieve any goal that is possible to the UN. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Egypt.
Honorable chairs, distinguished secretariat, lovely staff, most respected special guests, and fellow delegates, I would like to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to be present here today. The delegation of Egypt feels immense pride to partake in this momentous occasion and is grateful for every individual who made this conference possible. Energy is the life source for our world and every human within it. Energy makes us what we are. It builds us up. It inspires innovation, but it also has the potential to be ruinous. This is why the proper management of clean and affordable energy is a high priority for the Arab Republic of Egypt. Across all committees and councils, we will take the necessary actions to make good on this claim. Whether this comes in the form of discussing and managing transitions to more sustainable energy, addressing the diversity challenge within the energy sector, making progress towards solving the global energy poverty crisis, or debating the management of existing oil and nuclear energy projects, Egypt is committed to bettering our nation and our world through the potential of energy. Our delegates are hopeful and look forward to discussing potential solutions that will allow us to solve existing crises and improve global access to affordable, reliable, sustainable energy for the betterment of our people, our communities, and our world. Thank you. The floor is yielded.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Eritrea.
Honorable Secretary General and President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, heads of country delegates, distinguished RIMUN Secretariat, dear guests, lovely staff, ladies and gentlemen. Humanity sums yet another crisis to the course of their history. This pandemic landed a hard blow on each of the delegations' economic, progressive, and climate change policies, jeopardizing equilibrium between and within the nations. Humanity now faces the challenge of recovering the years lost to the pandemic without destroying the planet. How are we to balance both factors along with any following hardships that may come? Eritrea, a country affected by the adverse effects of extreme weather and compounded even further by the unprecedented socio-economic impacts of COVID-19, has demonstrated its enormous commitment by upholding the basic tenets of the Paris Agreement. Eritrea's nationally determined contribution identifies a shift from fossil fuel-based energy generation to electricity generation using renewable sources such as solar, wind, and geothermal power, thus taking concrete measures away from fossil fuel dependency, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and reducing energy transmission and distribution losses. While it is true, energy is the fuel of progress, the delegation also believes in the words of American author and motivational speaker, Zig Ziglar, stating, "Encouragement is the fuel on which hope runs." So on behalf of the Eritrean delegation, I motivate all the other delegations to take the efforts of Eritrea as an encouragement, or rather as a fuel for our hope. And not just a fuel for our hope, but a fuel for our future. Thank you all for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of France.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chairs, fellow delegates, lovely staff, and distinguished guests. I'm honored to be the ambassador of the sovereign nation of French peoples. France has been an early thought leader of the global energy transition. As the host of COP21 and the Paris Agreement, France is widely seen as the front-runner in energy transition by the international community. This is how the France 2021 Energy Policy Review, published by the International Energy Agency, begins. France is the leading country in the energy transition because it relies on nuclear power. Let us spend some words on nuclear power. In these words, there are two types of men. The ones that only look back to the past and the ones who have a step ahead in the future. Do you, excellent House, want to be on the side of tradition and perhaps live a short life in the end of status? Or do you want to embrace the future and walk on progress? To all French people, progress means alternative and emancipation. And emancipation has one name, nuclear. Not only nuclear is safe, as shown by the 56 operative reactors on French soil, but only with research and praxis it could be made safer. Nuclear is not only effective, but also is the utmost mean to try to escape the event of horizon to which we're all sentenced to, climate change. Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, lovely staff and distinguished guests, companions, be on the side of progress, support the light of science, choose nuclear, be green. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Greece.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. Over the course of the existence of the United Nations, energy has been a forefront issue on our agenda in ensuring international peace and sustainability. Energy is the building block of our world's economic and social development, our quality of life, and our path to a sustainable future. Energy access is not only a matter of environmental and economic sustainability, but also of social justice. Millions of people around the world still lack access to electricity, and we have gathered here today to draw attention to this crucial issue. As a country that seeks to open doors for a sustainable and energy-efficient future, Greece has made significant strides in investing in solar energy, green hydrogen, and efficient energy infrastructure. Greece has set targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 56% by 2030 and is committed to implementing measures to ensure this. Of course, there is still much work that must be done to successfully implement these solutions, but through cooperation and engaging in the meaningful debate that will occur in the next couple of days, we will continue to build a world full of possibilities that highlights our focus on cultivating sustainable solutions for this global challenge. As the former Secretary General of the United Nations once said, "The Earth is our only home. Together, we must protect and cherish it." Thank you for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. Now we're proceeding with the Ambassador of Germany.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. It is an honor to take part to this year's RIMUN conference, whose theme is Energy, the Fuel of Progress. Energy is indeed the lifeblood of our modern world, as it is essential in supporting all sectors, from agriculture and medicine to technology. Unfortunately, the world is currently facing an energy crisis, which menaces to destabilize our economies and our communities. What's more, traditional energy sources pose a significant threat to the environment, which we should protect for generations to come. This means actions must be taken to find solutions that can tackle the emergency while providing a long-term solution to the issue of global warming. For these reasons, Germany is now in the middle of its transition to renewable energy, which we won't deny has been challenging, since our country's reliance on coal has been a stumbling block in achieving our sustainability goals. However, in 2022, 46% of Germany's power consumption was produced with renewable energy. And not only the transition has reduced carbon emissions, but it is also creating new jobs positions as well as leading to the development of innovative technologies. Our hope is that renewable energy becomes a buzzword in the present to create a future that is truly sustainable for everyone. Thank you. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. Now we're proceeding with the Ambassador of Honduras.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. Energy has always been one of the, if not the most important aspect of human life. From the discovery of fire to nuclear energy, humanity has always benefited from a leap forward in energy production techniques. Energy powers not only our houses, but our means of production, our institutions, and even our rights. As former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, energy is the golden thread that connects economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. It is then vital to change the way we approach energy in order to meet important UN objectives such as climate action and economic growth. This is not an easy task though, as many multinational corporations actively work to maintain the role that oil and in general fossil fuels have in our economies. In Honduras, 52% of electricity is produced using renewable sources, and we have plans to introduce a bill that will give free energy to all those households that consume less than 150 kilowatt-hour monthly. This kind of policy is our fuel to launch ourselves into a better future. If humanity works together, sharing problems and solutions, just like we're going to do in the next few days, we can succeed in gifting the next generations a green, democratic, and clean world. Thank you all for the attention. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Now we're proceeding with the ambassador of Iran.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and hardworking staff. First and foremost, our delegation would like to thank all of you for welcoming us here. Moving forward on the subject of today, energy, it is essential for the livelihood of everybody, and it is fundamental for our society, and it is the basis of the economy of every nation of our world. Our nation would like to highlight how energy in Iran is, sadly, not available for many people, especially in rural areas, and we are working hard to resolve this issue. But surely it doesn't help that our energy sector is harmed by sanctions that are added continuously. For example, not even 22 days ago, new sanctions were added by the United States of America that put our energy sector through harm. These sanctions actively go against these conference goals of renewing our energy sector around clean energy production. And so we ask ourselves, if only certain nations are allowed to reach this goal and are painted as the good guys, and some nations are blocked from reaching that goal through various means and are painted as the bad guys that do not want to switch to renewable sources because fossil fuels are more profitable, how is this a just conference? This is far from the truth, as our nation has planned a shift away from fossil fuels by using clean energy sources as nuclear power, that is heavily sanctioned by Western nations, solar power and hydroelectric power. The latter is also greatly influenced by climate change, as droughts have unfortunately struck our land as recently as 2021, where 4.8 million were affected by one of the largest droughts in our nation. Clean energy is a goal for our nation, as our government has made plans to add 15 gigawatts of clean energy to its electric grid. This would be achieved through the creation of new solar panel fields and new nuclear power plants. Our goal will never be achievable if our country isn't freed from the shackles of sanctions. We have demonstrated that we repudiate WMDs, and we thank all of you for your attention and time. PGA, the floor is yielded to you.
Thank you, Delegate. Now we're proceeding with the ambassador of Italy.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests and lovely staff. As we all know, energy is the backbone of a modern society, driving our economies, powering our homes, and fueling our industries. However, with the challenges in the post-pandemic era and the need to build a sustainable future, the proper management of our energy resources has become more crucial than ever before. Italy recognizes the criticality of energy towards achieving sustainable progress, which is why we presently stand amongst the top nations worldwide in investing in renewable energy, achieving 21% in our energy mix. Additionally, we have recently unveiled our National Energy and Climate Plan, through which we aim to curtail greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030. Through these efforts, we aspire to transition towards a low-carbon economy while seeking sustainable growth. As our former Prime Minister, Mario Draghi, once said, A green transition is not an option, it is a must. It is our duty and our opportunity to build back better and make our economies more sustainable, resilient, and equitable. We acknowledge that significant work remains, which is why we, Italy, are committed to partnering with other nations to develop innovative solutions and practices. Only through international collaboration can we accomplish sustainable progress. So, let us work together to harness the power of energy, to drive progress, and to attain a sustainable future. Thank you all for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Israel.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chairs and fellow delegates, dear guests and lovely staff, on behalf of the Israeli delegation, I would like to express our gratitude for the opportunity to participate in this important conference on the global energy crisis. The energy industry has always played a crucial role in the development of productive systems, but at this historical moment, the issues on energy concern every aspect of our lives, from the scarcity in electricity supply to climate change. As the statistics have shown, the electricity, heat, and transport sectors are responsible for 73.2% of global CO2 emission, making the energy transition a structural obstacle towards tackling climate change. Therefore, we must take conjunctive actions and effective steps forward to face this worldwide crisis. At the same time, we must also consider the real disparities within states in order to achieve a fair and equitable development through the promotion of equal opportunities in the international energy field. We must support developing countries so that they can provide themselves with clean energy technologies and phase out coal, redirect fossil fuel subsidies, and avoid carbon lock-in. Universal access to energy is essential to the transition, an essential prerequisite for improving and maintaining the living and working condition of all people around the globe. Thank you all for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Japan.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. We are gathered here today to talk about this year's RIMUN theme, Energy, the Fuel of Progress. By this, we mean that energy is essential for every country. The more economically developed countries use it to maintain the lifestyle of their people, whereas less economically developed countries won't be able to achieve that same lifestyle to which they are entitled without energy. The problem is that there isn't currently enough clean and affordable energy for everyone. We thus face the dilemma of how to grant access to energy while reducing CO2 emissions by 45% in 2030 and net zero by 2050 as stated by the UN. Recently, this dilemma has become harder to solve because countries facing higher energy prices are resorting to more highly polluting sources and investing less in renewable ones. There is no easy nor individual solution. To quote Al Gore, Nobel laureate for peace in 2007, we are running out of time. We must have a planetary solution to a planetary crisis. Therefore, multilateral solutions are in order. Those who have more must take more responsibilities and help concretely those less fortunate. We, the delegation of Japan, stand firmly behind this principle. We are ready to do our part. Thank you all for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Morocco.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. Energy can be described as the fuel of progress because there is room for advancement and innovation in energy in every country. The recovery of economies, health sectors, and environmental awareness post-pandemic is influenced by energy, and countries are not only working to get back where they were, but working to progress and do so sustainably. The pandemic slowed progress on initiatives towards climate and sustainability goals. Therefore, taking action now and doing so with proper cooperation and communication between countries is imperative. In Morocco, the government has taken action through legislation that better regulates renewable energy projects. This gets them back on track to reach goals increasing sustainable energy and reducing consumption. As more clean energy and infrastructure initiatives are implemented worldwide, the gap between developing and developed nations widens. While both struggle to accomplish their goals, there is an inadequacy of opportunities and resources to establish sustainable infrastructure in developing countries that is becoming more apparent. The development of such infrastructure can not only further a country's sustainability and access to clean energy, but it can also support their economy. So that's why it's becoming more and more necessary. To quote the International Energy Association Executive Director, Faith Bristol, "We're talking about new clean energy technology markets worth hundreds of billions of dollars, as well as millions of new jobs." Morocco depends heavily on imports for a lot of its energy, but it's working on reducing this dependency by working with other African countries to increase the use of clean energy resources found domestically and increase environmental awareness worldwide. Thank you. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Netherlands.
Most esteemed academic and organization teams, honorable chairs, dear guests, and fellow delegates. I, as the Ambassador of Netherlands and my delegation, are honored to be here today with the purpose to make the world a better place to live in. Every UN conference is a step for us to contribute in the future of society, and it is our utmost pleasure to be a part of this change. Netherlands has long been known as one of the most peaceful countries. We have created and supported laws, signed agreements, participated in conferences, and gave great efforts for this serenity. It is our honor to share our opinions with the present nations and help out those in need. Since Dutch electricity system mostly uses fossil fuels for power generation, mainly natural gas and coal, the war affected our stability as well. As a country which signed the Paris Climate Agreement, we are well aware that coal is a harmful energy source for nature and humankind. In this conference, we sincerely hope to find a beneficial solution for our main goal, worldwide energy issues. We, as a delegation, wish you a pleasant conference. Thank you. The floor is yielded.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Qatar.
Honorable Presidents and Chairs, esteemed delegates and guests, and lovely staff, peace be upon you, as stated in passage 641 of the Book Al-Alam of the Quran. Waste not by excess, for Allah loveth not the wasters. Upon this single basic tenet of our Islamic faith is our whole climate policy grounded. Qatar has committed time and time again to its promises towards not just its own turf, but that of the entirety of this Sire marble which we dwell upon. It cannot be understated nor belittled how tirelessly our administration has toiled in order to achieve such goals, and in order to keep up with such promises, as well as to ensure that its course of action is kept throughout the foreseeable future. An example of this can be recognized in our delivery of the FIFA World Cup, which saw a 30% reduction in energy consumption and a 40% cut in water wastage by stadium facilities. Moreover, our commitment does not nor can merely cease at the present moment. In alignment with Qatar National Vision 2030, we have already set goals to reduce by 25% global emissions by 2030, to reach 16% public transport modal share, to reach net zero waste, as well as to use 100% recycled water. We are ready and focused on delivering on those promises, which we believe of being of the utmost of relevancy. To top it off, Qatar has not limited its efforts towards its own land, but rather helped countries throughout the globe to transition from coal emissions to other, more renewable sources. As clear as it shall be up to this point, the state of Qatar is deeply and profoundly concerned with the resource and energy management. That is why we believe that the best means by which to transition and to realize this vision is to invest in new and innovative technologies. Carbon capture, for one, and expect governments worldwide to follow suit, for the betterment of humanity, for the survival of mankind, and for a world devoid of waste and pollution. The floor is yielded. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Russia.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff, energy is the lifeblood of our modern society. It powers our homes, our workplaces, and our transportation. It powers this very room. It is what enables us to live comfortably and productively, but with great power comes great responsibility. We must use energy wisely and efficiently to ensure sustainable futures for ourselves and our future generations. However, we must also recognize that energy is not just about powering our homes and businesses. It is about powering our dreams and aspirations, our creativity and innovations, and our desire for a better future, most importantly. It is the fuel that drives to progress, enables or push beyond limits. As writer Arthur Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Let us harness this magic to create a world that is powered by hope, not just by energy. And this is more important than ever in these hard times of conflict. In conclusion, energy is the foundation upon our modern world, in which what is built upon it. It is both a blessing and a curse, but if we use it wisely and transition to a more sustainable sources, we can ensure a brighter future for ourselves and to the generations to come. As the great physicist Albert Einstein once says, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one to another. Let us change into a force for good, a source of hope. Thank you all for your attention, and the floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're proceeding with the Ambassador of Spain.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, dear guests and lovely staff. It is an honor to speak to you today about an issue that affects all of us, energy, the fuel of progress. As we all know, energy is the backbone of modern society. It powers our homes, our industries, and our transportation systems. Without energy, our world will come to a grinding halt. However, the way we produce and consume energy has come under scrutiny in recent years. Climate change is a global crisis that threatens our planet's existence. We must take action to reduce our carbon emissions and transition to cleaner, more sustainable forms of energy. Spain is fully committed to this cause. We have set ambitious targets to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and increase the share of renewable energy in our energy mix. We are investing heavily in solar and wind power, and we are working to phase out coal-fired power plants. But this is not just a problem for Spain or for Europe. It is a global problem that requires a global solution. We must work together to develop new technologies, to share knowledge and best practice, and to create a global energy system that is truly sustainable. Of course, this is easier said than done. There are many challenges to overcome, including the high cost of renewable energy, the need for energy storage solution, and the resistance of some stakeholders to change. But we must not let these obstacles deter us. We must continue to push forward and make progress for the sake of our planet and future generations. In conclusion, I urge all of you to join us in this fight. Let us work together to create a more sustainable future, one powered by clean and renewable energy. The clock is ticking. We must make the difference now. Thank you for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Sweden.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honourable Chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests and lovely staff. It is an honour to address this esteemed assembly as the Ambassador of the delegation of Sweden. Today we gather to discuss one of the most critical issues facing our world, energy, the fuel of progress. As a country that has been leading the way in sustainable development and clean energy, Sweden strongly believes that access to affordable, reliable and sustainable energy is a fundamental human right. Sweden has made great strides in renewable energy, and we are proud to say that we have set an ambitious target to be carbon neutral by 2045. We have been phasing out fossil fuels and investing heavily in clean energy solutions. Our energy mix today is more than 50% renewable. However, as the Swedish climate minister said, our energy system must be 100% renewable, and we must do it fast. Sweden understands that we cannot address this energy challenges alone. As my friend Raimondo d'Aquino incessantly reminds me, this requires a global effort. We believe that international cooperation is the only way forward to make real progress on this issue. We call on all nations to join hands and work together towards a cleaner, greener and more sustainable future. As the famous Swedish environmental activist Greta Thunberg said, we need to start treating the crisis like a crisis and act even if we don't have all the solutions. Like flies to wanton boys, they kill us for the sport and we are for the gods. Thank you, and the floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of United Arab Emirates.
Esteemed Secretariat, Honourable Chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests and lovely staff. It's a real honor to be here to speak in front of all of you. We would like to start by saying that energy is one of the most fundamental aspects of our daily lives, which is used for a wide range of sectors, services, and simple actions. However, at the moment, the world is in the grip of an energy crisis, which is also linked to the rising in global temperatures. Even the UAE is still reliant on natural resources such as fossil fuels, being regarded as one of the major suppliers of such products. However, despite all of this, our nation has never stopped making great efforts to find solutions to such issues. As a matter of fact, the United Arab Emirates are implementing groundbreaking renewable energy sources and several energy efficiency programs. Our country is also the first in the region to set out a roadmap to net zero, and one of the first in the Arab world to build a fully operational nuclear power plant. We also have great expectations in hosting the next COP, the COP28, which we hope will be a COP for all, a COP for everyone, and a COP of action. The United Arab Emirates will continue to strengthen its position as a reliable energy provider and will continue to support the global energy security as a fundamental driver of global economic growth and development. Thank you for the attention, and the floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of Ukraine.
esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. During this 4-day conference, we will all be talking about energy, the fuel of progress, as it is this year's RIMUN theme. As we all know, the world is powered by energy, whether it is renewable or non-renewable. The energy industry alters the course of the development of the world. Breakthroughs in this field can lead humanity to a general increase of welfare. Discoveries in energy fields can make or break countries in the modern era. We can't forget, however, that not all countries have a reliable, clean access to energy sources. Some instead tend to use fossil fuels in order to keep their industries alive, causing an alteration in climate, and its effects could lead to global warming. As said by Barack Obama, a nation that can't control its energy sources can't control its future. During this conference, Ukraine, as well as all the other nations, will try and hopefully succeed in ending the disparity between countries that do not have a proper energy industry already in place. Furthermore, during this conference, many delegations will discuss the transition from non-renewable energy sources to renewable ones to meet the standards set by NZE, net zero emissions by 2050, that will transition 2.6 billion people as of today to using sustainable energy sources. The delegation of Ukraine will try to come to many favorable conclusions to promote this important transition into our country. Lastly, we would like to mention that it has been a year and a month, precisely, since the outbreak of an invasion that is happening, as the delegate speaks, in our country. This childish behavior from Russia's president has not only displaced millions of Ukrainians, not only destroyed our cities, and not only killed our fellow countrymen and women, but it has also brought unstableness in the energy field, as many countries proceeded after the attack to return to coal and carbon-fueled energy. During this conference, we will also have to find, in a diplomatic way, a solution to the ongoing war and its effects on the world. To quote the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, the war is not the solution, war is the problem. Thank you all for the attention. Let the conference begin. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. We're now proceeding with the Ambassador of United Kingdom.
Esteemed Secretariat, honorable chairs, fellow delegates, dear guests, and lovely staff. Energy sustains life, and it is our duty to make energy sustainable. To quote Dr. Stephen Chu, as the saying goes, the Stone Age did not end because we ran out of stones. We transitioned to better solutions. The same opportunity lies before us with energy efficiency and clean energy, end of quote. In this day and age where there's an energy crisis in many nations and the cost of living is increasing day by day, it is imperative to explore new energy management systems. The United Kingdom has, in the past, seen the severe negative impact of using polluting energy sources. The Great Smog of 1952 in London was a result of geographical factors and the excessive burning of coal. According to present-day estimates, it resulted in the death of 12,000 people. This loss has made the United Kingdom even more resolved and a pioneer in finding clean, non-polluting sources of energy. We have committed to achieving a 78% reduction in carbon emissions across the public sector by 2035. Presently, 40.5% of electricity generation in the UK comes from renewable sources, 14.5% to 16% from nuclear, and a mere 1.6% from coal. Sir Isaac Newton once said, "We build far too many walls and not enough bridges." The theme of energy being the fuel for progress is extremely fitting for this conference, as the United Kingdom believes that it is with international cooperation and building these metaphorical bridges that we can make our way to a sustainable future. Thank you for your attention. The floor is yielded.
Thank you, Delegate. Last but not least, we're proceeding with the Ambassador of USA. Delegate of USA, please take off your glasses.
Your Excellency, the President of the General Assembly, most distinguished Secretaries General,
honorable chairs, fellow delegates, hardworking MUN directors and staff, dear guests. Could you imagine a world without oil? The chemistry teacher of the ambassador asked this question 2 years ago, and we are asking the same question today. And back then, as it is now, the answer has to be a resounding no. Oil and petroleum products, in general, are one of the building blocks of modern society. They heat and insulate our homes, keep our food fresh, they fuel cars and trains and economies around the world. All in all, it can be said, a world without oil is a world no one would want to live in. And while the United States do believe that the world should move away from oil and other fossil fuels as its primary source of energy, in favor of more reliable energy sources, such as, but not limited to, nuclear power, renewables such as wind and solar, biogas and hydroelectric power, as these powers assure energy independence from pariah states like Russia or Iran. We are still of the opinion that oil and petroleum products are an integral part of today's economy that should not be allowed to be used by those who wish to gain control over lesser economic powers in an attempt to buy allies for their wars of conquest. Because an open access to affordable energy is the only way to ensure freedom, justice, and liberty for all. Thank you. We yield the floor back to the PGA.
Thank you, Ambassador to the USA, and thank you once again to all the ambassadors that have delivered their speech. And I'm now yielding the floor to the Secretary General.
Just a few information. Remember to leave your seat as you found it, and I respect of the institution that also does today. For any problem, you can just ask our transfer managers, housing managers, conference managers, why not? Just not me and Jacopo. And I wish you a good stay and an exciting RIMUN experience. Thank you, and I leave the floor to the PGA.
Thank you. And without any further ado, I now declare the 16th edition of Rome International Model of the United Nations open. Thank you once again. See you at the conference. Delegate, please leave the placards on the seat.